Plug is 5:57, but can lighting regular at 7 o'clock.
Right.
We're still doing for early Shabbos.
Anybody
early 5:45? I don't know if people are making it, but there's a 5:45 tomorrow in the White House.
Anybody here keep making early Shabbos?
Kaplan, you doing it?
I don't think so. I think it's too early. My wife's not.
Wow! I can't
See,
believe
that's
it.
what I'm saying.
I
That's
can't
big
believe
news.
it.
7 o'clock is regular. Let's.
Okay, so 7 o'clock is Lich pension.
Yeah.
7 o'clock is Lich pension. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll call it for. Oh, tomorrow's a long daf. Stories, one story after the next.
Oh, look, how you doing?
Let's call it for 6:05.
6:05 and Matzah Shabbos.
It's 8:28, I think, is this month. I'll tell you right now.
Matzah Shabbos 8:45.
8:28 is month 72.
8:28.
Yeah, 72.
Let's call for 8:40, 8:45, 8:45.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Fast and easy.
I don't know if it was fast. Okay, now here we go. As easy as tomorrow's, the next two dafim are al Tagadata, even though they're not easy because the taich, but tonight's is woo. I hope I hope I can explain it. This tonight's stuff is really, unless the people in the morning had an easy time with it.
Yeah, it was a breeze for us.
Yeah. Okay.
A breeze. It was a breeze for us.
Wow. Let me tell you.
I think every Maggid cheer says house cup.
Yeah, you have to hold. Yeah, this you have to hold cup. Yeah.
We just skip tomorrow.
Okay, let's just try it. It's Mishkafel. Well, at least we get some yediyas. There's some interesting yediyas here. That's all. If we don't follow the whole Shakavataya, no. Now, just as a hakdama, we're mamash on the top, right? We're at the top. We're on the top of Ayin Beis Amud Aleph. So we had a machlokes before in the previous daf. Rav Huna had said that if somebody's buys two trees, he's not kind of the karka. Meaning back then people sold trees, meaning not they sold the actual tree. It means the fruits of the tree. The question is, do you get the land too? So the nafkamina would be is if the tree falls down or rots, does the guy who bought the tree, is he not allowed to plant another tree there or not? So if if the land comes along with the tree, so then he could plant another tree. If the land does not come along with the tree, then he can't. He bought that tree died, that's it, it's done. All right, but then on the flip side, if a guy sold his karka and he left over two trees, he said, I'm selling you my whole chutzah or my whole sadeh, but I'm keeping two trees for myself. So Rav Huna's chiddush there was that he definitely does get to keep the karka. And we had said that's even going according to Rabbi Kiva, who says that when somebody sells something, he's generous and he sells everything. So here too, l'chayra, he should be generous. And even though he kept two trees for himself, but he's still selling the ground. Right? So that's what we said, that it's going even according to Rabbi Kiva, because Rabbi Kiva is only generous when it comes to a bar, thing like that doesn't negatively affect the rest of the land. But here it does, so therefore he was able to keep it. That's according to Rabbi Kiva. Then the Gemara said on Amud Beis yesterday that it's not true. It doesn't work with Rabbi Kiva. So then we said it goes along party lines. We said Rav Huna is going according to the Rabbanon. Rav Huna's din, that the one that sells the chatzah, that sells the sada, except for two trees, that he gets to keep the land, that is going in Shitas Rabbanon. And Reb Shimon, who disagrees with that, is saying like Rabbi Kiva, who says that a seller sells everything, right? And therefore he sells the karka, right? And then we said also that somebody who makes something hektish is like a seller. So that's a question. And then other ones. And one other thing is if somebody gives a present, is considered generous according to all opinions. The shaila is somebody who makes something hektish. Is he like a seller or is he like a matana? If he's like a matana, then everybody would hold that he meant when he made a field hektish, he sold the bar in the field and the wine press, etc. But if you say he's a seller, then it's going to be dependent on a machlokes. So bottom line is, we said Rav Shimon says like Rabbi Kiva. So that's where the Gemara picks it up now. So that's Hakdama number one. That's just to get us on, to acclimate us to where we're holding. The second thing is there's something called stei achuza. So stei achuza is that if it was your field that you got from Yeshua, and it was handed down generation to generation, so then if you make that field into hektish, there's a special din, which is that you can be paid it up until yovel. Right? If not, then hektish keeps it, and then they sell it, and the kahanim get to keep it. Right? So you have, and how do you sell it?
They sell it by Kayan?
No, they could sell it. No, you could buy it back from hektish, and the money. It's a set amount of money that gets prorated for every year. All right, for every 250 amas, right, a base saw. So then you have to pay. How much you have to pay again? What was it?
50 shkam for 50 years.
It's 50 shkam, 50. It's a shekel a year, right? Punyan. Yeah. So that's the din. So the Gemara is going to discuss, well, what happens if a guy bought it off his father, in which case it's no longer stei achuza, and then the father died, or he made it hektish, then the father died. All sorts of variables. So the Gemara's first kasha takes the entire Amud here. So Gemara asks on the top line now, so we're saying that Reb Shimon holds like Reb Akiva. Right? So somebody who makes 2 trees hektish does not keep the land. And he's going like Reb Akiva, who says that somebody who sells a field is very generous. So Reb Shimon, Reb Akiva, can we really say that Reb Shimon holds like Reb Akiva? Which means that hektish is v'ayin yafa, and that means that the ground is hektish. V'hatanya, we learned in the Brisa, hektish loishe lonis. Let's say a guy makes 3 trees hektish, mimata sor lebeisa, and it's from 10 equivalent of 10 trees planted in a beisa, which is, we said, 2,500 amas, right? So hare hiktish es hakarka vesilona shebenem. So that's the normal size. So therefore, if it's 10 trees per 2,500, 250 square amas, right? So if he made that into hektish,
then 2,500 divided by 10 is 250 square amas.
Right.
So it'd be a tree per 1 tree per 250.
Correct. Yeah. 1 tree per 250. If and we don't care about small trees that are in between them, don't count. All right. So if he did it for that amount of space, so then everything becomes hektish. Lefikach kishuhu paida beis zera chaimer sa'arim b'chamishim shekel keser. He's paida that he's paida with the seeds, with the barley seeds of 50 shekel kesef per 49 years, right? Meaning it's the regular pigeon, and he doesn't have to, we don't look at it, basically what we're saying is we don't look at it like the field is one separate pigeon and the trees are a separate pigeon, meaning it's all one big pigeon, right? But pachas mikan, but if it's less than that, meaning let's say the trees were much closer to each other, or there was more space, meaning there was 10 trees, but they were way more than 250 square amas. Or if he didn't make all the trees hektish at once, he was makdish 1 tree, then he went to be makdish another tree. So then the karka is not hektish, and not the trees that are between them are also not hektish. Then when he's going to be paid, he has to pay the trees with how much they're worth. Stage number 1. That's the first thing. Okay, that's fairly straightforward. Even if he made the trees hektish, and then he goes and he makes the land hektish. And until now, he just said it's hektish, and we're trying to figure out if the land goes along. Here, he said both. He said, I'm making the trees hektish, And then he went and he said he's making the ground hektish. So he's paida the trees like regular, because the trees is not a sadeh. And then the land also has the status of stay achuza, and he's paida with 1 shekel kesef per. Well, it's not exactly one, but it's because it's prorated over 49 years. But that's what he does. So now, money. Whose shita is this? Rav Akiva. So if we say Rav Akiva, if you say the Bastik's in name Rav Akiva, if it's Rav Akiva who holds that somebody who sells very generously, he says that when somebody sells something, he sells something generous. The Cholsheken maktish, and Cholsheken somebody makes it hektish. So Mamela, you have to say according to Rav Akiva, the trees and the ground are always together. V'i Rabbanon, and if you say it's Rabbanon who say that a person is not generous, and stingy, and he doesn't sell the field, Hamri Meicher who the Ba'ayin Ra Meicher. We said that's only by a seller who sells Ba'ayin Ra of a Makdish, Ba'ayin Yafa Makdish. But somebody who makes something hektish, he's much more generous. With hektish, you're much more generous. Right? So who is it? Elapshita must be Reb Shimon. Must be going according to Reb Shimon. That who says that somebody who makes his fields hektish is not generous with it. And he is not making everything hektish. Meaning, if a guy's makdish a field, he's not makdish the wine press and the bar and all that. Right? So Mela, it's not even considered hektish. Meaning the land is not going to be considered hektish because that was not in his das. Okay, so we're saying it must be Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon alibid deman. Now, who's Reb Shimon going according to? Alibid Reb Akiva. If it's going according to Reb Akiva, Amar Meicher Bayin Yava Meicher. He says that the seller sells with a generous eye, v'chal shekein makdish, and certainly somebody who is being makdish. Right? So it can't be that he's going like Reb Akiva, because we're saying here that he's not being makdish to the ground. Elapshita, leave it the Rabbanon. It's partially must be going to the Rabbanon. Because Savar Reb Shimon, Kihechi the Meicher Bayin Ra Meicher, and Reb Shimon must hold that the same way somebody who sells it he's not generous. Maktish Nami Bayin Ra Maktish. So somebody who's Maktish is also doing Bayin Ra. Umashayir Ara. And therefore, since he's doing Bayin Ra, the land is his. Mashayir means he leaves it over for himself. Right? Meaning only the trees are hektish, and that's it. So what do you see? That there's Reb Shimon cannot be going according to Reb Akiva. So how do we say before that Rav Huna is going like the Rabbanan, and Reb Shimon is going like Reb Akiva? You see that you cannot say that. So that's the question. Ve'ela, so on to base now. Ve'ela kasha, but do you have a different kasha within Reb Shimon himself? The Maisa, these trees, right, are meaning we said that when somebody's makdish his field, the boxer trees, what was the other one called? Sycamore, right? The sycamore tree and the boxer tree, right? So since they're yoinik from Sadeh Hektish, right? So therefore, so those are considered hektish, right? But they're getting it from why are we saying they consider hektish? It's all part of the field. But if you hold that that somebody who's makdish is not doing it by ayin yafa, so then how can you say that the sycamore tree and the what's it called? The boxer, what's the English word again for that one?
Arab.
Carob, yeah, the carob, right? So those should not become hektish. So how do you understand pshat in that? So Ella, Reb Shimon l'divrayim the Rabbanon, you must say that Reb Shimon is going in the sheet of the Rabbanon. He's saying, Lididi, according to me, just like somebody a seller is doing it with an ayin ra, not generous. Makdish nami ba'ayin ra makdish. So somebody makes hektish is also being makdish with ayin or ayin ra. B'shiyur mashayir, and he's leaving over the field, meaning he's not. It's only the field that he's making hektish. He's not making the tree, and he's not making the tree where the land where the tree is in. They did cool, but according to you, the Rabbanon, idly mial, you should at least be minded to me. The only things that become hektish are the grafted carob tree and the sycamore tree that was cut. Right? So meaning because there it's a little bit stronger. So therefore, that you should say that it's those are the only things that become hektish and nothing else. The Rabbanan said to him, no, we don't differentiate. There's no, meaning we're not differentiating between these choshev trees and regular trees, or the bar, or the gas. Everything becomes hektish. Right? So Mamela comes out that Reb Shimon in the Mishnah is not talking in his own shita. His whole shita in the Mishnah is going lefi the Chachamim. Right? So Mamela, we could say that Rav Huna is also going like Rabbi Akiva. Right? Meaning, if the Chachamim hold that somebody makes something hektish, is the same thing as a matana, so then it's not only like how do you say it, like Rabbi Akiva, right? Meaning the Chachamim were not concerned for Reb Shimon's taina. Yeah, I mean he wanted to say that it's like a matana, right? Yes, and now we're going to come and saying that Rav Huna could really be saying like Rabbi Akiva. So now we have basically three mahalchim. Originally we said Rav Huna is going like Rabbi Akiva. Then we had a kasha, so we said Rav Huna is not going like Rabbi Akiva. And now we're back to saying that Rav Huna is like Rabbi Akiva. Okay, so now the Gemara goes back to discuss the stei achuza. So Gemara says, "B'mayu kimta, b'mayu kimta la." So what are you saying this with? Meaning, who are you saying the shita? Right? Ki Rabbi Shimon. We said it's like we said on Amud Aleph. The brisa that says that when you makdish less than 2 trees or whatever, if the amount of trees are less than that fit into 250 square amas, 1 tree per 250 square amas, so then it's nothing, it doesn't become hektish. Right? So we're saying it goes like Reb Shimon. So Ema Seifa, what about the Seifa? Let's say guys makdish ilanas. V'chazer v'hikdish es a karka, and then he goes and he's makdish the karka. Kishu paida, so when he's paida is a ilanas b'shavyein. He's paida the trees for whatever they're worth because they're not considered stei achuza. V'chayzer paida beis zera chaymer sayrim b'chamishim shekel kesef, and then he goes and he's paida beis zera chaymer sayrim with 50 shekel kesef. Be Reb Shimon, and if it's Reb Shimon, lezel basar pigeon. If it's Reb Shimon, then why don't we go with the what it's like when he's being paided? Meaning, don't go with when he made it hektish. Go with when he made it when he's paided for nivriku agav arayu. And since since at the time of the pigeon, both the field and the trees are hektish, then you should be paided them together as a stei achuza. Because we already know from Reb Shimon the Azal Basa Pidyon, we have another case where Reb Shimon says you go with what its status is at the time of the Pidyon. Let's say a guy buys a field from his father, so now it's no longer stei achuza. Stei achuza means that it's a Yerusha from when Yeshua ben Nun, but here it's not a Yerusha. He sold it to his son, Fikdisha, and then the son made it hektish. Then the father died. So now, do you say that retroactively, this field was really a stay achuza. Right? Meaning this son botched it. He bought the field off his father. I mean, l'chari botched it. If he would have just had patience, he just would have had this field as a Yerusha, and then it would be a straight up stay achuza. Instead, he bought the field off his father, then his father died.
Okay, when the father sells stay achuza, isn't there rules to it until Yovel?
Yes, goes
So,
back.
It
But
goes
you don't
back.
have the special din of hektish of stay achuza. Hektish of stay achuza is only the person who has the Yerusha of it. The
Right, but
special
now he
din
got
of
it as a
hektish.
Yerusha.
Well, that's the question. First he
Why
bought it,
wouldn't-
then he yarshined it.
But why wouldn't he get the rest of it when he was Yarshin it? It's going back. When he bought it, it's going back.
What?
When he bought it for 49 years maximum.
It's not buying.
Right, it's not fully bought, it's renting. When he bought the Seir Chuzah from his father, he didn't buy it, he leased it.
So what? It doesn't. It
now
doesn't
the-
know. It's not. Well, that's the shaila.
What's
No,
the
no. Well, let's see the Gemara again.
His father sold it to a neighbor.
Right. It's no longer a stay achuza in the
Why
labor
not?
neighbor because he made it hekt. If he made it's the person who has the field is the one that has to make it hektish in order to have the stay achuza.
So who made it hektish?
What?
What do you mean the person that has the field? Which person? The father or the son?
The son made it a hektish.
And who has to make it hektish too? The father?
The father, yes. But the thing is, he made it hektish.
And then he got it. So
And then he got it back. So now the question is, Lemafreya, do we look at it as he made his stay achuza deck? That's the Gemara Shaila. Right? A guy bought a field from his father. Iktisha. Don't worry, if the island wants to get this stuff over with, I'll just put Naftali to sleep over here, and then we'll put him back to sleep. Yeah.
done.
If a guy buys a soda from his father, and then he makes it hektish, and then after that his father dies. How do you know that it should be like a stay achuza, which is what Naftali wanted to say? What?
The Gemara doesn't tell you what kind of field he bought from his father.
No,
He bought it, if his father had a portfolio, he bought a field from. It's not from Yeshua. It's just another field his father bought.
no, but the Gemara, I guess, based on the context from the Gemara, must be from the stay achuza. I hope so. Otherwise, you're throwing a monkey wrench into the whole Gemara.
I'm sorry. I tried that this morning with Shmuel also.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think so. That's
Well, Shmuel didn't go for it, so you want to see what Shaka would go for it?
why not?
We want to see how different Magidei Shiurim act, how they react to different questions.
Yeah. No, I'm looking in Rashbam, the Rashi and Gittin. Yeah. It's a little.
Not that I understand any of these last two program, but it's just like never talk about it. Nobody owns the fields forever. It's 49 years. Then it goes
No,
back.
then it all goes back.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
very
so it is
strange.
possible to happen.
It's very strange.
Yeah, no, that is true. Yes, it's like one big Monopoly game. That's what it comes out, right? I mean, the truth, the saddest part for me, this whole Gemara is this: like, wow, this is an interesting shot. This other thing, Gittin wasn't all that long ago. Gittin was a year ago, and it's as if I never saw this Gemara ever. That's my negative spin on top of a negative spin, if there wasn't already. But anyways, how do we know that somebody buys a field from his father? And then his father dies. We should say it should be like a stay achuza, even though the son bought it before the father died. So meaning, we don't look at it as if it was a kinny. We still look at it as a stay achuza. But if he's going to make a field that he bought that was not a stay achuza, sadash ain't really a stay achuza. It's only if he makes a field hektish that wasn't right to be a stay achuza. Yotzazu, sharuli a stay achuza. This field was right because he bought his father's field off of him. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, that's Shita Rabbi Yehuda. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Shimon, that's Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Shimon. Rameir, Raimer, Minayin L'Lekech Sodom Aviv. Rameir says, how do you know that if a guy buys a field from his father, Umeis Aviv va'achar kach hektish, right? This is a different case. Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Shimon was saying that he bought it, made it hektish, then his father died. Rameir is saying, no, he bought it, then the father died, then he made it hektish. How do you know that's a steachuza? Which to me is much easier to understand because here it only was made hektish after the father died. Comes to school. This one that is a steachuza, right? Fine. Now ve'ilus, that's the machlokes Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon against Rameir. Ve'ilu Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. Now Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. That where the father died and afterwards he's makdish, you don't need a pasuk. They don't need a pasuk for where he was where the father died and then he made it hektish. That he say don't need a pasuk. That's pashut. It's steachud. What they need the pasuk for is where the son made it hektish and then the father died. So minalahu. So how did he know this? If you know it from this pasuk, so maybe that pasuk's coming to say Rameir's case, which is where the father died first before he made it hektish. Elolav, the azli basa pigeon. Maybe it must be that the reason is right. They must not be coming off the pasuk. They must be saying that you go when the pigeon is, and when the person is being paid to the field, it belongs to him as a yerusha. Right? Meaning, even though he bought the field from his father, but when he's being paid to the field, bottom line is this field is his from his father, who got it from his father all the way back. So it must be the only way to explain the Reb Shimon and Reb Yehuda here is that you go basa the pigeon. Fine. So you see that you should go basa pigeon. So then when you're being paid to the trees together with the karka, it should be considered like a steachuzah, even if the initial intent was not to. We're going to say no. Rabbi Yehuda and Shimon don't go with pigeon. Here they found a pasuk and they darshened it. Im kain lichtoi kra v'im estemek nasoi asher loy achuzasoi. Right. Let the pasuk say if it's estemek nasoi, that's not steachuza. Inami steachuzasoi. Or say it's his, right? My asher loy misteachuza. So what is that? It's not from the steachuza. Ashe'ena ruya liya steachuza soy. If it's not roy to be, it's steachuza soy. Yotzazu sheruya liya steachuza soy. Right? This one is roy, right? Because this one is lamaisa. It was his grandfather's field. And then became his father's, right? I'm saying, well, what? But at the end of the day, isn't it like that in both cases?
I think he's saying that Rameir's case is a steachuza because he was Yairish, the part of it that is steachuza before he made it hektish.
Yeah, but both of them were steachuza, were they not?
No, because the Shimon's in Rabbi Yehuda's case, he made it hektish before he was Yairish, the achuza part of it.
He made it hektish before?
The hektish came before the Yerusha.
I understand, but at the end of the day, they're both potential steachuza size, no?
No, he's saying that Rabbi Yehuda and Rishon are learning that Rameir's case is a steachuza. The fact that he bought it doesn't change the fact that he's Yerush the achuza part before he's makdish it.
I hear.
That is a steachuza according to them. That's why the mem makes the difference.
I hear. Okay. Anyway, so there's no proof. Bottom line is there's no proof that you go busted as man of the pigeon. Okay, new subject along the same lines. Now, so now we're going to discuss Well, let's see the Gemara. Those are the trees of the month, like David said last night. Right? So a carob tree that's murkav, that's grafted. Again, grafted means grafted onto its own type, not grafted to a different type. Right? For Sadan Ashikma and a sycamore tree that's cut, Taurus Ilan Alav, they both have a din of a tree. The Taurus Karka Alav, and they also have the din of Karka, meaning Tzvei Dinim. Right? This is your original Tzvei Dinim over here. Taurus Ilan Alav, it has a Torah of tree, the Hech the Aktish, Oizab and Shnei Lonos, that if somebody makes it hektish, or somebody sold 2 trees, Bahai, and this meaning he sold 2 trees. He either made it hektish or he sold 2 trees plus this sycamore tree or this carob tree. Yeshloi, then he gets it. I mean, because that's considered 3 trees, and we said yesterday's daf, 3 trees acquires all the field, all the field that the trees are in. Karka, I'm sorry, Yeshloi Karka, he gets Karka. Taurus Karka Alav, and it has the din of Karka, the lame is daven, Agav Ara, that it doesn't get sold with the land. Right? Meaning when you sell the land, it does not, and you have these trees on them, these chashava trees on them, they're not included. All right, so basically it has the status, sometimes it could have the status of land, sometimes it could have the status of trees. That's one. So we know that there's a aimer is a stalks, right? So there's something called shikha. So shikha is that if you leave a stalk in the field, you're not allowed to go back and pick it up, goes to Raniyim. But we said if there's 3 stalks, then that's not shikha. That's too much. It's only 2 or 1 stalks. So what happens if you have a massive stalk? So you have one, not a stalk. They call it a sheath, right? But it's a massive one. It has 2 saw, right?
How much does a normal sheath have?
I have no idea. The not 2 saw. 2 saw is a lot.
There has to be a big bundle. The shikha is where you already cut it.
Correct.
And then you brought some bundles in and you left one out there. You know, that's
Right.
okay. I forgot it. Tough luck.
Right.
Yeah.
So here, this is an aimer that's very large. Tyrus aimer alav. So it has a din of an aimer on it. The Torah's gadish alav, and it has the din of a gadish. A gadish is a stack. There's no shikha on a gadish. There's only shikha on an aimer. A gadish is a pile of food of grain. Tyrus aimer alav, it has a din of aimer. The shnei umrim shikha. If there's 2 of them, that's considered shikha. Shnayim v'hu ain't a shikha, but if there's 2 plus it, it's not shikha because that makes 3. Taras Gadish alav, it has the din of a Gadish. The Tnan Aimer sheyesh by Sasayim. If you have an Aimer that's so large that it's the size of 2 Sasayim, Shakhu ain't a shikha. It's not considered a shikha because it's so large.
1 second. Aimer shalish by Sasayim, but this was 1 saw.
What?
This is 1 saw.
What do you mean? Which one is
Well,
one?
he forgot.
Sometimes you have an Aimer. No, an Aimer that has 2 saw can sometimes be considered like a Gadish, and sometimes considered like a Aimer. Right? So again, if it has 2 sasayim, then the shikha is not a shikha since it's so big. Last case, we come to the machlokes between Rabbi Nachum, Rabbi Yossi, and the Rabbanon, which is that when somebody makes the field hektish, does it include these trees or not? Right? So meaning it's not included. According to the Chacham, it's not included. But Rabbi Nachum, Rabbi Yossi says, but he holds fakert, right? That he gets to keep the trees and the karka, and they're not fakert, but even more than that, right? So then, la'antam aleph, the lema machlokes Shimon Rabbanon. Why don't you just say that it's a machlokes between the Shimon and the Rabbanon? Right? Like we said, there's a machlokes what the Shimon and Rabbanon would hold by these trees. So Gemara answers, Hakamash Malon, the Rabbi Nachman, Rabbi Yossi, Reb Shimon Tzvirulei, and a Chanami. That is what it's doing, but it's Agav teaching us that he holds like Rabbi Nachman, Rabbi Yossi holds like Reb Shimon. Okay, I don't know. I hope we did some sort of justification on that. Hadron Aloch Hamoicher es Habayis L'chaim. For all those that are making l'chaim. So Landau, that's why he's like l'chaim. Naftali, don't you can come back. Not all the davening are this hard, Naftali.
I'll have to take your word for that.
Well,